Thank you so much for staying to this channel. Welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about the recent attacks on the U.S. bases in Syria, Jordan, and of course Iraq. And don't forget also about the Houthi attack on U.S. bases that led to reprisal by the U.S. It's like, forth and back and forth, throwing missiles, same planes, jets to go to enemy sites to dismember, dismantle enemies' formation, and of course all that. That'll be the core discussion today's edition of International Forum. Before that, let's take a look at some stories making the rounds. Elon Musk is at it again. He called this Neuralink. He said a brain implant will be placed inside the head of the human. Talking about the brain. So you can control anything you want to control, your phone, your iPod. You just name it just by thinking it. When you think about it, the phone comes on. You think about whoever you want to call. Your phone dials a number because of this neural implant that will be placed in the brain of humans. And he said it's going to be a whole new driving technology that everyone should queue into it. And of course, our religious leaders are like saying this might be the beginning of the end. Some are saying this might just be the beginning of the mark of the beast. I don't know what to feel about this, but we'll get about what is in the scriptures about the mark being there at the forehead, or better still your right arm or something of that nature. But this one, this Neuralink, will be placed inside the head. You can control anything you want to control by just blinking, thinking, picturing it, and it will just be happening because of this implant. Now, what do you think about this technological drive by Elon Musk? People have been talking about it. Let's see how all this will pan out. If you want to go spiritual or by divinity right now, is it the beginning of the end? Or we're getting set for the rapture? The rapture has come and gone. If you want to go by that because of that same scriptural quotation, your right hand, your forehead. I don't mean to scare you, but this is what Elon Musk is doing right now. Brain chip, brain implant. Think about it. But we'll straight down to what is happening where 3 countries in West African sub-region choose to pull out, yes, from ECOWAS. We have Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic. The world has been reacting to this. They say, look, you pulling out from ECOWAS is not going to solve anything because whether you like it or not, you're in the region. But there's military-run countries that are saying they are sick and tired of the way ECOWAS is handling the things they're handling in the Western Bloc of Africa, and they choose to go on their own. They came together yesterday, they held a meeting, and they said they don't want the parts of ECOWAS. After all, they have the right to say they want to move out if they want to, which they did. So people are like talking about it. All right? They are saying, why would you want to pull out from a bloc you belong to? Where you talk about geographical location. And Nigeria and so many other African countries have been talking about this. Let's talk. Let's negotiate. Why do you want to pull out? We need to be one indivisible bloc. Mind you, if Burkina Faso, Mali, and they should pull out, others that are not benefiting from this particular union may also want to pull out. Now, if they keep pulling out one after the other, what is now the fate of ECOWAS? Don't forget that the Eastern Bloc in Africa, they're beginning to gel. They're forming their own bloc for economic security reasons. If you go to the South also, they're beginning to form this alliance with each other. If you go to the North, you know the story as well as I do. So why would ECOWAS disintegrate? Whether you like it or not, this is like the 4th step in disintegration of the economic, yes, West African organization. You get the point now. Where is the economic importance, security importance, if these 3 countries choose to pull out? Don't forget that Niger shared this common boundary with Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria, another part of ECOWAS. What do you think will happen? How are they going to really negotiate to bring back these countries into the West African bloc? They were given a time frame to revert back to democracy, but they are saying you have to give us more time. Right now, they're so tired of ECOWAS running the show. They say they want to come together to have their own kind of economy. After all, we have soldiers, men in khaki, leading this country. What do you feel about that? The last story making the round is all about Donald J. Trump. Yes, that man really is giving so many persons sleepless nights, especially from Republicans. Yes, Donald Trump has been baited, so to speak, or is swimming in plethora of court cases. This time around, it's all about the tax return of Donald Trump. Yes, ex-IRS contractor sentenced for leaking Donald Trump's tax return. You see, he said, why would you go do it? Because it's against U.S. law. Man who leaked former U.S. President Donald Trump's tax return sentenced to 5 years in prison because he broke a very simple code. It ought to be between you, your company, and of course the IRS. And that is a huge crime against the institution, or as a constitution of the United States of America. Now, that might just be one point for Donald Trump. Don't forget that right now he has garnered so much sympathy because of a plethora of cases against him, to the extent that he's the one leading right now in the primaries when you talk about the Republican Party. It got so nice for Donald Trump and so bad for other persons for DeSantis to step down to support Donald Trump, to tell you how his popularity is increasing more and more by the day. It's against Joe Biden's popularity, according to the polls, that is dwindling. Now, would this be a boost for him to really be the #1 man in America come this year's November's election? Do you think all these cases definitely will be dropped because of this victory right now in court? Or do you think more investigation will be done into how he's conducting his business in his business empire? These are lots and lots of questions begging for answer, because Donald J. Trump, really against all odds, is like it's waxing strong, the political terrain in the United States of America. Let's see how all this will pan out. Right now, we'll go for a break. When we return, it's all about the attacks on U.S. bases by some militia groups. I'm pointing Yemen-funded militia group. You have the Al-Qaeda, you have the Houthis, you have other militia group bombarding installation that belongs to the U.S. in various parts of the Middle East. Don't go away. We'll be right back. It all started when there was an attack on Israel by the Hamas group. They don't know that it's going to have this kind of domino effect, to the extent that some militia and some other Palestinian cry and ambition to have a state of their own are beginning to react to the perceived or seemingly perceived enemy vis-a-vis the U.S. supporting Israel in the quest to squash Hamas, to take it out of the map in Gaza. All of a sudden, a UK vessel was attacked by the Houthi rebels, and U.S. responded. Before you knew it, an American installation in Iraq was bombed. As if that wasn't enough, they went to Jordan and did the same. And of course, Syria is not left out, because we have American installation also. They are based in Syria. It was affected, it was tossed by bombardment occasioned by drones. Some American soldiers lost their life because of this attack. And now Joe Biden is under immense pressure to attack Iran. Iran is saying they are not the one responsible. It's like a web, a complex web. How do you think all this will pan out? Would there ever be an end to this? Does it really have this connection with the war going on between Israel and, of course, Hamas? With me here in the studio to talk about this, he is a clergyman, a political analyst, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Reverend Frank Arega. Reverend, welcome to International Forum. Appreciate your coming. And of course, Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
All right.
Just that you gave me a new name today. I'm Humphrey.
Humphrey, sorry, sir. Can you imagine? It's Humphrey and Reagan. My bad. Apologize for that. Okay. Apologize for that. Humphrey and Reagan. So, Reverend, when all this thing started, and of course the UK vessel was attacked, it was a slap on their face, and of course they retaliated. US also sent jets to go dismantle these rebels in quote that have been allegedly sponsored by Iran. And here we are. It's like they are not backing down for US installations in 3 major eastern countries of the world: Jordan, Syria, and of course Iraq. They've been affected effectively, I use the word effectively, by drone bombardment sent by this militia. What do you have to say about this?
Well, thank you very much. And let me say very quickly that it is not unexpected. The war didn't start today. It's an ongoing war. If you remember that there was war between America and Israel and Iran for the soul of Iraq. And also, they have also had problems in Syria because of who the president of Syria allied themselves with. And so it's been some very sticky situations, but I think it's been highlighted because of the war between America and Israel.
America and
Israel
and Hamas.
With the aid of America, because most of the ammunitions and other intelligence situations are supplied by the American government. And the Arab world, from the ranks of Iran and some others, have definitely not been very happy with the fact that the help of America to Israel has emboldened and strengthened the Israelis to deal with the situation the way it's being dealt with in Gaza. And then you look at the issues. Most of these militia that operate within that axis don't have a base or government to be able to sponsor themselves. So Iran has been the major supplier of all the arms and ammunitions which they use, to the extent that they also supply Russia. So you can understand the kind of military might that Iran has been trying to make people know, if not for the fact that they were curtailed at the point. But we'll say, if we look at the major issue right now is for them to weaken the Americans to lessen their support for Israel. And that definitely will not succeed. Two is the fact that America is very, very entrenched in the Israeli life situations. You go to most of the scientific discoveries and most of the work of society and all, financial and all, in America, have Israeli base. So Israel has been very critical in the survival of the American society. And America has a lot of interest in that. It's just like the Iranians have a lot of interest in the Arab world. They also want to be a chief people in the Arab world. And so it's something that will not easily go away. But you see, America have been very careful not to escalate the wars in the various regions, because once there's strikes here and there, the major reason why America has to support this war, especially the Houthis that have been trying to make the waters unsafe for international trade, of course that affects the whole of Europe and America. And nothing that affects the economy, they will let lie low. So they have to be sure that they are able to do their maritime business without being discomforted by. Most of the time, Iranians have been trying to seize the ship of Europeans. Again, every of the situation is that the Americans and Europe are trying to be dragged to the war so that we can have an escalated war all around. But see, times and seasons create a lot of issues. It is not time yet for us to have a catastrophic war of what we might call a third world war that may have a devastating effect. It's not, but it's gradually leading to that. Because every country right now is more concerned about security matters. And the providers of these ammunitions, arms and ammunitions, are in business. Nobody manufactures a gun or a bomb and keep it in his house. He has to go and test it. And so he looks for a place to test. It's like people say, the man who builds coffin is not building coffin for entertainment. He's looking for somebody who will die, that you buy the coffin to take to peace. So that's the point. So every country building their arms. Iran will have nothing if they can't sell their arms and ammunitions. And they can't sell their arms and ammunitions if there's no crisis or war somewhere. And that's why you are pitching one against the other. The Houthis are something that you are looking at between two parts or two types of the Muslim world that have been fighting themselves in their environment.
That's the Shiite and the Sunnis.
The Shiite and the Sunnis. And that war will not end because they both are on each other's neck. And it's between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a more diplomatic country in terms of these. You may not hear them make a lot of noise like Iran would do, but their interests will not be forgotten. They have to guide their interests. So everybody is guiding their interests as much as possible. So for so long as Hamas remains, like the Prime Minister of Israel says, they will not rest, because Hamas and Hezbollah has constantly said they need the elimination of Israel from the map. And they have been supported by Iran, you know, and Israel says you cannot do that. So we will also fight to keep our existence in order. So whoever desires our extermination should also be ready for extermination, you know. And those who have interest in these things are also aiming, this thing cannot happen, because nobody wants a religious ideological war. It doesn't end. It's more than philosophical. Religious wars are more devastating than economic war or philosophical war. And that's where we are heading to. When you begin to look at yourself on religious basis, the next thing you do is to eliminate the other. I want to make yourself the only one. And of course, it's not going to be, it's not an easy task. So it is something that is a deliberate attempt to create an unrest environment, but which none of them will benefit from, because nobody is going to win the war.
Nobody's going to win the war. Oh. Now, in course of your analysis, from calculation and through history, it's like this bombardment, this attack on American bases in Syria, Jordan, and of course Iraq started since 18th of October after the attack on Israel by Hamas. Now, you talked about Iran trying to prove to the Eastern Bloc that they are superpowers after the supply kamikaze drone to Russia. There's this rumor, they've been denying it continually, that they're not the one responsible back in the Houthis or Hezbollah, that Iran is really behind all these militia organizations troubling or irritating, that's what are irritating the U.S. Now, does that mean that, will this kind of setting, do you think member states in the Eastern Bloc of the world really acknowledge Iran as a superpower? After all, like what you said, they have this military might.
Well, they may not say it openly, and the definition of a superpower goes beyond military establishments. Okay. Yes, Iran has oil, which you would have used, but unfortunately, they don't have more than Saudi Arabia or some other country, or Kuwait. Yeah. You see, Iran has been trying to assert itself as the superpower of the Eastern Bloc. But countries like Saudi Arabia, like Kuwait and all, do not buy that thought. you know, and that's why he has that problem. So he is trying to use militias from the other end, because you have Saudi Arabia, for instance, have an interest in the Syrian war, which they were trying to. They also have interest in the Houthi war. And these are issues. Most of the cases, Americans will back Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. So that again angers Iran. That I said earlier from the beginning, that the war in Iraq was that Iraq was trying to have superior authority over the Iraqis. But the division in Iraq, because of the Sunni and the Houthis, didn't allow it to happen. And those were people invited, the other people invited America. And that's where the war started. Of course, America was able to, again, supersede what Iran was trying to do. In all the situations, Iran do not have more military might than America. They do not have economic might more than America. America is a superpower in all the environments. Then coupled with the issue of the Western countries, again, we're talking about democracy, we're talking about religious rights. The free countries who do not want to be subjected to any religious obligations have followed America as the democratic country of the world. You know, and again, they also have these, their superior powers. Europe as a unit have an edge over what Iran may try to do, just like what Russia is trying to do in Ukraine. Of course, it's not succeeding because most of the European countries are backing Ukraine. And so they are giving a part of this. Is something that are happening, just like they are backing Israel. Unfortunately for them, Israel has a superior might on technology. And they are able to use that point to get the American resources to do what they want. Nobody will tell you that, agree with you, that Israel is a superpower. People know it. By military might, there is superior power. You know, and they are the only country in the world that has a dome that prevents you from destroying their land. It's dead. No other person has been able to replicate it. You know, and Israeli army is one of the most trained army in the world. Their security services, Mossad, there are people who are trained. They are few, but they are mighty in their minds. You know, wars are not fought mostly by human beings, at the way it's like human beings, because where human beings can go, a missile can go more than 10 times that.
Yeah, true.
You know, the number of people that somebody carrying AK-47 can kill is less than what a drone can take off. You know, but America is also very careful. Iran is trying to drag Israel to the Iranian war. You know, Israel has tried once before to go and bomb the factories in Israel. It was America and could have stopped them. And Iran is still trying to do that to Israel today. But again, when you are doing that, you are trying to distract them from what the primary objective they have.
There is the war against Hamas.
War against Hamas. So when you are talking of the Hezbollah, you are talking of the others who are around them, and then you are talking of Iran, who is a little bit far off. You see, that's a distraction. Israeli knows that. America knows that. And that's why they are very careful of not even talking about Iran at all, but saying that all they're talking about that they supply these arms. Because Hezbollah, Hamas do not have the means to manufacture all these things. And we've known over the period that it is the Iranians that have been supplying Hamas and others weapons and all. And so these are some of the things. So, but I think as much as possible, if the war again drags for a longer time, Iran will also have to be seen to be depleting their own capabilities.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. But if you just joined us, this is International Forum, and we're taking a look at attack on U.S. bases in Jordan, Syria, and of course in Iraq. What is the end game of all these attacks? We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, and we're taking a look at the attack on U.S. bases in Syria. Forget to mention also Jordan and Iraq. Some American soldiers have been killed in this attack, and Joe Biden, the president of the U.S., is really under pressure to launch an attack against Iran. But Iranians are saying they are not the ones responsible, that they just can't tie the activities of militias to them. But from findings, the weapons being used by this militia was manufactured and created in Iran. So you can see the relationship, but all the same, Reverend, some are saying that all this we are seeing right now, the Israeli-Hamas war, the Houthis trying to, distract U.S. from the war, bombardments of their bases since that 18th of October, and all of this emanated from the war between Russia and Ukraine. Is there a relationship?
Well, there could be a remote relationship because wars in these nations are interrelated as much as possible. But it's not the primary cause. The war between Russia and Ukraine is not the primary cause of most of these issues. It's the war between Israel and Hamas. The Houthis, for instance, they said they are responsible for attacking ships that has Israeli connection. But you see, most of the ships around the world are registered in different countries. They may not be owned by the country on which they are registered. Some of them are owned by individual businessmen who are maybe from these environments. So they have that thought. But Iran seized a ship relating to Britain. You can ask the question why and how. So it is something, because Iran wants to control the source, the water environment where these things are. And what are they trying to do? They are trying to make sure that they drag some persons into some things. You cannot be superintending over international waters, even though it's maybe closer to you.
Yeah, to you.
But it's not, it's international water governed by international laws, which is now being affected somehow. But again, nations, the world, they say, is a global village. So whatever happens to one person goes to another. We also know that Russia also has very much interest in what goes on around, like what happens in Syria. They also have interest in it. Everybody wants to be a superpower. Everybody wants to be in control and in charge. So, and then you have alliances. There are some issues. So but the problem right now, the source of the problem is between Israel and Hamas. But you have to ask yourself, Hamas is not a country. This is another problem.
Yeah.
Hamas is not a country.
It's not a country, but it's a government.
But it's a government within a government. See, when you divide a country into two without any affinity to one another, but same country, the Palestinians are supposed to have one country. But the president of the Palestinians does not have any control over Gaza. You know? But that's why you find that he hasn't spoken much.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have anything to say. But then you find about who were they loyal to? They were more loyal to Iran, closer to Iran, than they are to their government in the country. So these are issues that need to be looked into. What interest does Iran have to make Hamas not responsible to the government of the Palestinians? And they will not tell you. What they're telling you is that Israel is not allowing Palestinians to live as a state, as a government of its own, with equal rights and powers like the Israelis. But you have to ask yourself the question, how is the border? Israel said, so long as there is a promise by Hamas and co to eliminate them, and no country in the Arab world or have been able to say, no, you can't say that. But you're asking Israel to allow Palestinians to live. But you are not asking the Palestinians, the Hamas
group, yes,
to allow Israel to live. So how does that work out? Unfortunately for them, Israel has capability to guide itself, which the Arabs don't have. They fought 6 days war before, and Israel conquered. And
some will say that was in the past.
The past has not changed. For Israel is more sophisticated than when they did that war. Now, okay, and that's why they are saying to you, you can say they rebuff everybody. You can say anything, but as far as they are concerned, they are marching forward with what they have done, and they are marching forward. Let Iran now engage Israel in the Hamas war. They will not, because they know if they throw one bomb from Iran, Israel will burn up the whole country. They have ability to do that. They have the missiles to do that, to launch a missile from Israel, and the whole of Iran will be in trouble. So they know that, but they are using a proxy to try to destabilize them, and that's why they are going after Hamas. So they really don't supposed to go after the Palestinians, but you see, you can't burn a house and expect the materials in the house not to be burnt. Okay, that's all the thing. When the Palestinians, and even if you look at what Israel have brought out, the tunnels that have been dug from Gaza to Israel, it amazes you how long they were able to do that. The war facility they have found in some of the roads, it amazes you how they got them. Where does Hamas got its funds from? You are not a country to be able to say you print money or do your economy, but yet you have sophisticated weapons just to fight one country. And Israel is determined to say, we did that before. They were asked to leave. Israel left Gaza. And also, can you take it? Instead of allowing all of them to live together, you began to use it as a military environment to destroy the whole of Israel. They're telling you, until they finish destroying everything that has to do with Hamas and their ability to do it, they won't live there.
All right. Now let's take a look at the U.S. Their stand in all of this. Joe Biden, like I said earlier on, is being tempted to focus his attention on Iran. Don't forget that according to the American Constitution, they value the life of their soldiers, the other citizens, especially the soldiers. They've lost some soldiers. Now, how do you think the U.S. will handle this matter? 3 countries in the eastern bloc of the world. What do you think will be the global implication?
Well, America is going to go a little bit soft. Like I said earlier, as much as Iran is trying to anger America to go into war, don't forget that during Obama's time, they had an agreement to stop Iran from manufacturing weapons so that they can give them resources that they need. That agreement has not been abolished. I know that when Donald Trump came,
yes,
he wanted to abolish it.
True.
But you see, you don't just take a decision when it concerns a world affair. It was not brokered by America alone. It was brokered by America, Europe, and all. You need also the consensus, because no matter how powerful America is, there's also some limitations that they have, which the other nations, just like what you are seeing in Ukraine, for instance. America was not going to, because the American nation, you also have a division. Not everybody support America supporting Ukraine.
True.
Some people support them to support Russia. That's some of the things. But in that, they're towing a very thin line to say, okay, we don't want to anger the people at home. But we also do not want to leave and see our nation around us burn. So we have to do that. And Iran is trying to drag America to war. And unless diplomacy prevails, that may not be too good for both of them. You know, I know that Donald Trump was saying some things. If he was the person, that's a different matter entirely. But here, they have an agreement not to. And Joe Biden is not going to go to war with Iran because as far as it's concerned, that is a very unnecessary war. You know, nobody is going to be, if America go to war with Iran, you will lose more lives. Iran can use its drones to destroy a lot of cities and all. So you have to think. Sometimes people think a little bit myopic, say, okay, this is where we must go to that way. Think on the global scale and look at yourself. Don't forget that Iran, Russia also have alliance with North Korea. North Korea, with who doesn't think very much.
But to him, he thinks. Kim Jong-un, to him,
he can release any missile.
Missile, yes, and that may lead to Third World War.
They have already built up some ammunition that can launch a missile to the U.S. So they have to think a lot and look at some of those things. So America will not just go to war with Iran because it is not the primary issue for now. You know, they say it is with care you kill a rat in a pot so that you don't destroy the pot and the rat run. Right. These are some of the things. Lives are very important to the American people. But you have to find out yourself, if we go to war with Iran, will there be no loss of life? There will be more loss of life.
So how do you think U.S. should handle this? It's an affront right now in the U.S.
Yeah, it is an affront. But that's why they are trying to see wherever there is a link with Iran, like you say in Syria and other, they will go and destroy all that they have planted in those places. You know, and that reduces their capacity. And that's what it is. If you're able to do that, you can see that for a period now, the issue of ships being attacked, it has reduced.
Reduced.
Okay, because the America had degraded most of their facilities, and that's what they want to do. They have gone to Iraq to talk to them, to do something to them. They are going to launch something that have to do close to where the Iranians are and destroy their ammunition and armaments. And once they're able to do that, you reduce their capacity. Then you can also see how they are trying to influence, to incite the people against the authority of Iran. They've done it before. Yeah. Sometimes you may think that they have succeeded in suppressing them. If he rises again, a lot of things will happen. The one that did before, a lot of things happen. You know, people may have laid and died. No, there's nothing, no war that does not cost life. It does. So it is care that is needed in some of these things. He said you don't scratch your body the way it scratches you, and you will leave a lot of marks on it. You have to be very careful of what you do. Let somebody be angry. Let Iran be doing whatever they are doing. They know that they cannot face America. Though, but they also know that there are many people, Americans also know there are many people in Iran that they don't want them to suffer. In most cases, when they do that, it's those people that suffers. So a balance is taken in most of the things. And I'm sure that by the time the war in Israel with Hamas also slows down, the other people will cool down for some time.
All right. Now, if you take a look at Iran, like what you rightly said, also because of analysis, they kept on producing drones upon drones. They supplied Russia, supplies the Houthi, supply other militia group Hezbollah. I mean, is there no end to the production capacity in terms of military weapons?
There's no end to anybody's. You see, the war is not going. The world, is not settling down. There's a turmoil that is convulsing in the world. This war. Two, it is one of the most basic things for them in terms of resources. Because before Obama's time, they had resources, but when Obama seized their money, there was nothing else to do. People also had their back on their oil. You see, these are some of the things. Now, the world is going beyond oil. So even if you have oil, people are going to electronic. People are going, so you are also getting less from those things. The only thing that will not reduce is war. Countries all over the world are in war, and you need to supply them. Russia, as big as they are, has to rely on Iran for drones. These are some of the things. Yeah. Because it is easier for you to fight with drones and have some successes than putting foot soldiers on the wall. And that's what it is. So, you know, not every country has their own distinction of intelligence or what to put their things in, you know. And Iran has come up with the fact that they are very good in production of drones. Not every country can do that. Not every country has the resources to do, because they commit all their intellectuals, all their resources to the production of that. Each country does what they want to do, and they now rely on others to be able to get whatever they are doing.
All right, now if you take a look at the situation now globally, it's like everywhere is almost boiling, and the U.S. seems to be biting more than they can chew right now, because in Ukraine, they are there. Israel, Hamas, they are there. In Central African Republic, they are there. Even in the coup d'etat that took place in West African bloc among Burkina Faso, Mali, they are also there. If you go straight down to the Korea Peninsula, they're warning North Korea, take it easy. The U.S. is also mentioned. Is this not weakening the strength of the U.S.? And right now, their post is being hammered on by this militia.
Well, you see, American took themselves as police of the world.
Yes.
And if you are giving yourself a responsibility, you must carry it out. That's the point. Two is the fact that, like I said earlier, this seems to be the vanguard of democracy in the world. And democracy is being fought by either traditionalists or by some radical religious behaviors. And they are trying to see how they can make sure the world is democratized. Unfortunately, it will not happen. Some countries will never be democrats. You know, so they are divided. So as much as possible, they are trying to see that they are not reducing the democratic elements of the world, but they are trying to preserve some of those things. Two is the fact that they also have a lot of technology that other people need. America is blessed, like I said, America is blessed with a lot of Israeli intelligence, intellectuals. And Israelis have one of the most established intellectual thoughts. If you look at the Nobel Prizes of science and all of them, 90% of them are from Israel.
Israel.
Okay, so they have that. And in some of these other countries, they neither have the resources nor the manpower. So they cry to America. Of course, Iran would have been, Putin would have been the second person. But unfortunately, he's not finding it easy with his own country. There's a whole downturn, again because of resources, because Americans also have to see some resources. You know, that's some of the things. If you don't have the resource and you don't have the intellectual capacity, of course you have to beg somebody to help you, you know. But in helping you, you are dissipating your own strength, because each day we hear Americans talking about how their piles of ammunition are being reduced on a daily basis. But then they're not relenting. They are also perfecting some of these issues, you know, and that's the good thing about people who have vision, who have foresight, and who have others. These are some of the things. Part of the world we don't have. You go to Africa, for instance, we don't have a foresight as to what will happen tomorrow. That's the point.
That is harsh. Reverend, no, that is harsh. That is very, very harsh.
That's the reality.
That is harsh, sir.
No, wait, let me, what was our perception when we found oil? Qatar had a perception. UAE had a perception. And today, everybody is wanting to go there because they have developed it. What have we done with it? South Africa has the largest deposit of gold in the world. What have they done with it? South African gold is manufactured in Israel. They take the raw gold to Israel. Israel has to do all that is done and send it back for sale. What are we doing? We can't, because the government in Africa and some of this world do not think about their country for the future, to develop environment where, you see, you get one resource to develop another. Okay? We have land as agriculture. How have we developed agricultural inputs? We are still using subsistence farming. Many of those who even have tractor, you can't manufacture tractor. You can't repair it.
All right, enough of bashing Africa. Enough of bashing Africa.
These are some of the things. That's what we're talking about. If Israel as a nation,
yes,
they knew themselves, they don't have mineral resources, their population is small, so they put themselves on the intellectual plane.
All right.
So
now,
that's what it's supposed to be.
All right, before I call it a wrapper on this show, now how do you think U.S. will respond? Some are saying that U.S. might just be forced to close some of their bases around the world, especially in the Middle East. Do you see them doing that?
They won't do it. They will retaliate. You see, they do surgical operations sometimes, and they study a lot of issues and go back to look for weapons that are long range. But you need to study the environment so that it won't be catastrophic for the people you are trying to help to kill them. There are some of the things.
Yeah.
It's just like what happens between Israel and Hamas. Hamas uses human shield to protect their weapons so that you don't get their weapons. And so when you are trying to get the weapons and you are killing him, they are shouting. But Israel told you, these are the truth of the matter. We are looking for these weapons to kill. So anybody who is around the weapon will go with the weapon.
Wow.
And America will do that sometimes. They did it before in Iraq, when Iran was trying to put it, and they succeeded in pushing them away. They will do that again. But see, they are very careful in putting foot soldiers because that's what all of them are looking for. They want to kill the Americans. But America will also have to look for those countries and try to see how it can work with the countries to make sure they defeat Iran and some other things. If there are no consensus, like we heard Iraq shouting, Americans should leave. It's not the whole of Iraq that is shouting. It's like some people say, when you go to a people making noise, it is few individuals who have the power to make noise. Majority of those persons may not even know what's happened. And you need to be able to get across to some of them so that you can begin to do a revolt within the country and it's like what happens with Africa, for instance. It's a revolt against bad government that the military has come up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, some of them, when the military come,
they want to leave.
Nobody goes to a place of food and say you want to go hungry.
Thank you.
That's some of the things.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Let's see how this will pan out. Like what you said, the U.S. are going to retaliate, but it's going to be surgical. Yes. And of course, the war rages on until Israel is satisfied with a surgical operation that sometimes goes out of proportion in Gaza vis-a-vis the fight against Hamas. And so many things are happening in the globe. And with this attack on U.S. bases around the Middle East, do you think they'll pull out? When said they're not going to pull out, they are going to get stronger. Why stronger? These are the means to make sure that those people are dealt with. Let's just see how all this will work out. Reverend, once more, appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll do it again next week, Tuesday. God willing. Bye for now.